Three. Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Writers Connect. Today, we have a renowned copywriter and marketing professional with us. He's Mr. Joby Joseph, popularly known as Brand Swamy. He is a seasoned storyteller, brand strategist, marketing and healthcare communication expert, and communication entrepreneur based in Kerala. With over 1.5 decades of experience, Brand Swamy Sir is a creative director who excels in creating intriguing changes to brands, organizations, operations, and products through transformative storytelling. He is currently the co-founder and chief communication officer at How Are You, as well as the CCO and founder of Out There Communications Private Limited. He has worked with prominent media houses and organizations such as All India Radio, Express Group, Malayala Manorama, GE, Samsung, BPL, Fortis Healthcare, Aster Healthcare, Medimix, and The Hindu. But what's most remarkable about him is his story. From his LinkedIn account, what I could gather, his journey from a newspaper boy to a field farmer to a hitchhiker to a marketeer to an entrepreneur, a brand storyteller, is a fairy tale for all those who want to make it big in the advertising and marketing domain, notwithstanding their humble beginnings and shortcomings. So let us hear more from him. Dear Brand Swamy sir, thank you for agreeing to this interview. It's an
My
honor
pleasure.
it's an honor to have you in this show. So, sir, your journey sounds so exciting and different. I'm sure it is different from, like, if I take a thousand of copywriters. So I think you will be one among all those 999 rest copywriters whose journey has been so phenomenal. So let's start from there. So, how a paper boy, a failed farmer, went on to be one of the top brand leaders in the country, sir. Please.
That's very quite interesting question to start with, Mr. Saurav. So I recall my childhood. It's all about like I born and brought up in Wayanad, a very rural part of Kerala, northern Indian state. So what happened is like my father was a farmer and he was a newspaper agent of a very famous Malayalam daily. So what happens in very early stage of my life, my father used to take me with him as a newspaper boy. So I would say when I was studying in fifth standard and sixth standard, very early. So he wanted me to explore to life. Yeah, so that is the one reason why he took me very early. And then what happened is that from the early years, I used to read a lot of newspapers as part of my job. It has nothing to do with my curiosity to learn or anything, but when I'm actually wrapping up papers very early morning, I would say 4:30 in the morning every day, I start reading many different newspapers in many different languages. So I have to distribute it. I have to circle around 15 to 16 kilometers to distribute these papers. It's a very rural area. Everybody doesn't read newspapers. And also in my place, like one home and between there are a lot of 1 kilometer distance between two houses, nearby houses. So I have to cycle this 1 kilometer to get the next house where I want to give my newspaper. So this gives me early direction to the news industry. And by I'm studying like around ninth standard, I used to work for Malayala Panorama, one of the leading newspapers in Malayalam as a stringer for my region. I start writing primarily obituaries. When somebody dies in my region, there is a obituary page to which I write my column and I distribute. And then I start giving small stories. And parallelly, what happened because we are a farmers family. So I really loved farming those days. And I used to earlier days it was all about paddy fields. Okay, in Wayanad the name is derived from the colloquial usage of paddy. It is called Vayal, and it is called Vayalnadu, the land of paddy. But what happened in the late 19th, so what happened 1990s, what happened is that the paddy fields become non-profitable. As in Kerala in the late 1990s, the farming industry, agriculture industry becomes more of a non-profitable business. So what happened is that we all shifted from paddy fields to banana cultivation. So what happened, banana cultivation was very profitable those days, and always ginger. And we used to cultivate a lot of ginger nearby, like in Wayanad and the Coorg district of Karnataka. That is a very adjacent to. Wayanad's landscape. So we used to do a lot of cultivation. So I started farming in very early stage of my life. But I was a good student. My father wanted me to do some medical or engineering. But by the time I had a feeling that it is not my cup of tea. Okay. One reason it is not about I don't want to be a doctor, but I always really fear about surgeries and I don't want to do cutting of human bodies. And then I fought with my father. I told him that I want to be a journalist and I don't want to be a science student. But my father was adamant that if you want to choose it, you choose it in the later stage of your life, and I studied science. And after science, I realized that okay, it is not my cup of tea, and I moved to English literature. I did an English literature when I joined a very prominent college in the northern part of Kerala. And after the first year exam, I realized that my English was poor because I'm coming from a Malayalam school and I didn't have any exposure to English, even the basics of English grammar and literature. So what happened after the first year of literature? I have seen that I was getting 9 marks out of 100, and I realized that my God, it is I'm going to fail the main and general English altogether. So I failed first year. Then after the first year, it was a shock, and there was two. I was in two minds. Should I shift from English to some other topic like history or humanities, or should I continue as trying to study English? Then what I did after the this shock, I came out of the shock and I decided that even if I fail after 3 years, okay, it is okay to be failed. So what I went to the library. It is around there are around 1 lakh plus books in the library of this college. So I told my teachers there is no point in sitting in the class because I'm not understanding anything. You are teaching all in English. I'm not following you. I can't write a single sentence without grammar. Yeah, so what I did is I went to the library. I started, I first tried to read poem because I looks like a very small thing so that I can read and understand. But after reading some poems, I realized that, oh God, it is not my cup of tea again. I couldn't read and understand what this Keats and Eliot is speaking about. So I skipped and I started with novels. Okay, again, it was not easy to understand an English novel at that point of time because my English was so poor. What I did finally, I started reading drama. Okay, I started reading the 20th century dramas like Look Back in Anger or Glass Menagerie. I started reading a lot of dramas. It is conversation, so I could actually track. So I keep reading every day. 2 o'clock, I wake up. I read till 6 to 7. I take a small break. I by 9 o'clock I go back to the library again and I start reading because this is the only thing I could do. Okay, it was a boys' college, so there was no other fun also except some political things and some speaks and public speaking events. So by the time I came out of the degree classes, I was good. I was a topper in the college. I could write, but my speaking language was really bad though. But I could write in my own way. Okay, I don't say I can write the way people think that is good a piece of writing, but I could write small sentences, which I studied from my very early stage, how to write a small sentence. So I was becoming, confident that I could write small sentences. And I somehow I passed out of the degree classes. Then I moved to journalism. And that is a turning point in my life. When I moved to journalism, I got my, out of the 20 students of my class, 17 of them were out of Kerala. So I had no option but to speak in English because everybody speaks Hindi. I don't know Hindi. Everybody speaks English. I don't know. I can't. I don't have a confidence to speak English. But by the time, by the 10 months course, by the time I completed my postgraduate, journalism, I could actually speak a little bit of English. That gives me a huge confidence. And I pass out again as a topper in the journalism class, and that was a big boost in my life because I have come out a phase where I could, I had to stop everything and I had to drop out the school. From there, I become the topper in the journalism class. I got campus placement in Manorama. We had around 10 15 lakhs of copies. I became a part of the editorial team. And really, what happened to me is that I was passionate about doing reporting, feature writings, and stuff. I started writing features. I got some good opportunity to write features. But in between, my boss decided that to send me to a failing organization of the institute. So then it sent me to a career magazine, which is Manorama is, if you know, Manorama is leading in every sector. They were, running a business. They have a weekly, which is the top in India that time. They have the week that time. That was also leading, after Outlook those days. And but finally, I was sent to an organization which has been failing for a very long time. We were second in the market, and we were just selling 33,000 copies that time. And it was a shock to me. What a person like me, a creative writer, to do with a career magazine. It was, I wanted to resign that day. After reaching, I got that transfer letter in my hand. I went to the senior, I went to the boss and asked, "Sir, what am I supposed to do there?" Then he asked me, "Joby, this is an opportunity. See it as an opportunity and do something." Then I went there. I realized that there are 9, 10 people. I am the only senior person. I am the only full-time employee with the organization. I was getting an opportunity to lead a team. So I started reading. Why are we failing? This is a question that comes to my mind. Then after a few months, I realized that why we were failing, because we were giving wrong information. Okay. So for example, I can tell you a very simple example. If you want to apply to UPSC, there is a code to be written on